open with the invocation and the pledge. Do you mind doing the invocation and then we'll do the pledge?
Sure. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you with thankful hearts, asking for your wisdom as we gather to serve our community. Guide our minds and our hearts in this meeting so that every decision we make reflects fairness, integrity, and compassion. Help us to listen thoroughly and act justly, always seeking the greater good for all those who have entrusted us with the responsibility. May we be faithful stewards, mindful to the needs of every individual in our community. Grant us the courage to do what's right and the strength to work together in unity. We ask your blessings upon this meeting, that our efforts may honor you and serve the people well. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, everyone. Receive comments from the public. Any public? Okay. Receive president and director comments. I don't have any comments. Any comments?
I don't have any comments. No.
Okay. Consider an act upon a request for adjustments to or relief from specific charges imposed by the district. Okay. Consent agenda. Is there?
Go through these one at a time, right?
We normally just make a motion to approve the consent agenda. If there's not anything that needs to be taken out, we just approve it all at once. Is there anything you need to adjust on the consent agenda or take out that we look at separately?
I was just looking at number 10 where it's asking for us to act on, but I guess that's typical, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
a standing item in case there's conference or something.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Cool. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda, please? I'd like to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Regular meeting, receive the regular monthly SGRA Woodlands Division report.
Good afternoon. Report begins on page 23 in your packet. No violations, nothing out of ordinary. I do not have anything to add to the packet, but can answer any questions if you have.
There's a place that I've noticed that there's some water above the road. And it's usually in the afternoon, like 5 o'clock. It's not in our district. It's over in Shenandoah on David Memorial.
Okay.
So I just didn't know who to address this to, but like that's when like all the traffic always gets really busy there. And I think yesterday there was a wreck because some car was nervous about the high water. So I was just going to bring it to someone's attention.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Which road is it on?
It's on David Memorial. It's where the shop, basically the water's coming from the shopping center parking lot area behind, like where Buffalo All Wings is, and then runs into the road. And then there's a higher curb at the football stadium where the water kind of pulls up.
That's County Commissioner Matt Gray's district, I
Okay.
believe.
Cool. So, I mean, I'm fine with it because I drive a truck, but there's a lot of little cars that get nervous. And so I just want to bring it up to y'all. Cool. I don't have any questions.
No,
Any? Keith?
No, I guess my question too is that, you know, as I look over this data and I get familiarized for myself with what I'm reading, I mean, if there's anomalies or anything special, you typically would bring that out as well, right?
Yeah, any violations, anything that's out of the ordinary, quick run through. We try to keep surface water, groundwater blends at 50/50.
Right.
You topped up to page 24, it's roughly within 3%. If it goes to 20% swing, I'd bring that up. You know, you can look at the graph on the middle of page 24. We all know we've had a lot of rain, so I don't expect June to have a whole lot of, you know, production. So I bring up stuff if it's truly out of the ordinary or moves the needle, impact service, stuff like that, but a lot less maintenance done this month. Projects are all on schedule. Really nothing to bring up and talk.
Okay, explain what you mean by production when you talked about rain.
So the more it rains, the less water we sell.
Yeah.
Less irrigation, stuff like that. So when you look at page 24, the graph in the middle for June, the magenta colored bar in the far right of June, it's comparable to the one, very first one, if you'll see that one.
Yeah.
Basically, it just means it's been wet, so we haven't sold as much water.
Okay.
But if that bar was like half of what you see, I'd let you.
Awesome. Everything looks very normal.
No questions.
Number 12, consider an act on draft fiscal year 2026 SGRA Woodlands Division budget.
And before we get into that, I have, and y'all asked for last.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So last month in the June budget presentation, we showed the water rates and the wastewater rates and how they changed and how that compared to the CPI number that we chose. And y'all had requested to see the CPI number. And the only thing I had at that presentation was the percent change, but not the actual CPI number. So that's what's in that chart in front of you. And then I put the data source on there as well. So then as far as the actual budget presentation goes, I presented at the trustees a little bit longer presentation that I'm happy to go through as well. But I'm going to hit the highlights and then I'll ask for y'all's vote to direct your trustee and during this meeting to vote in the August trustees meeting to approve our budget. So just the two changes that I presented at the trustees that are different from what I presented in the June budget is the GRP rate is changing. So when GRP rates change, y'all surface water conversion changes because it's a direct calculation off of that rate. So that rate is going down another penny from what I presented in June, which is a total of 5 cents from current rates. So it'll go down to $2.92. And then the other change is a change in our project plan. So when we presented our project plan in April, we have since got a budget amendment approved by TWDB to move one of our projects to be funded by our 2017 existing bonds. So that project is moved from our R&R fund to our bond fund. So you'll see that in the budget as well. So with that, y'all don't have any questions. I'll leave y'all to vote to direct your trustee.
Any questions?
Not at this time.
Keith, any questions?
No, I mean, obviously I've got the full version of it at the trustee meeting.
I mean, I like that it's going down a penny. And I know if it went through the trustee meeting, it was probably ripped apart. I'm fine with approving it or giving you our approval to cast your vote. Okay. So, all right. Sorry.
Do you want to take a motion on that or?
Yeah, should we? Yeah, we will. I'd like to make a motion to give our vote to approve the 2026 SGRA budget to our trustee. Kathy.
You second.
I
Second.
second. I second it.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. You're good. Discuss and or act on water line renewal plan and analysis completed by HDR engineers.
All right, we put that on the agendas just to give the boards an opportunity to talk about any other items. There were a few directors that had presented questions that were forwarded to HDR. HDR then responded with responses, which we sent out last Friday, everybody. So you should have that. And then follow up, those that put comments in, are setting up a little Teams call here in the next few weeks to allow those guys an opportunity to just have a call with HDR to go over their responses. So that'll be coming up here the week of the 4th, I think. We're trying to set that up. that's pretty much all there is at the moment, other than to talk about town center. That was something that all the MUDs have discussed this month to look at what to do with town center. Obviously, it's been on hold. It's about 97% done, design already. And so there were the MUDs have entertained looking at taking some of the easement funds that are in the budget already and reallocating them towards the redesign of that project and moving that forward, at least the design of it forward, so they can identify what easements are going to be necessary. Because the way it's designed right now, since it's been designed, it was understood that in the future, Grogan'sville may be expanded, maybe not in the near future, but sometime in the future. And when it does, that water line would be under that outside lane of traffic. So the idea would be to move it outside of the right of way, get easements, put it in a wider spot or a spot outside the road right of way to be safe play for the future. So that's kind of what's at play. And I think all the MUDs have said everyone had made a clear determination on moving forward with at least that part of it, not necessarily construction. That's a different topic, just to get funds for that. But the funds for this are already on hand. We'd just be reallocating the easement funds towards the redesign.
So trustee David Smith, during the trustee meeting, again, you mentioned he had questions about the HDR study. His comments is that, he went to one of their training classes. He dove as deep as he could into some of their studies. And, this gentleman named Spencer, who I guess is the person who,
National expert.
He's, as I understand it, is a very, very, very intelligent person on this, with HDR and is held in very high regard. But he did make a comment that a study of this nature would typically take about 2 years, and they had to put it together in about 6 months. I don't know if you agree or disagree, but that's what apparently the comment that this Spencer gentleman had made. But trustee Smith, his concerns is that as he poured over some of the data, that he couldn't draw a clear line from the data that was presented to the conclusion that was drawn. He had questions and that he was still looking to get answered. And the suggestion, I think some of the boards have voted are voting to approve or whatever, but one of the boards has withheld or holding back to leave that decision to the trustee to vote after all the information and after the meeting, after everything is discussed. And so are we to make a vote today as to which way we're going to go with this, or what is our action that we have to take today?
If you so choose. I mean, the agenda item would allow you to do whatever you want in terms of all of the projects, but specifically, I think folks are making decisions on the town center project mainly because it's already been designed and almost ready to go, other than the redesign.
So
on the
we
town
can either
center-
decide right now what we want to do, or we can, or as one of the boards or one of the other MUD boards decided, is that they would leave it to the trustee to make that decision at the next meeting. And whether I go or you go, just depending on travel or whatever, that decision could be made at that time and doesn't necessarily have to be made here and now.
Okay, so the only thing potentially that we would be acting on would be approving the ability to complete the design study on town center,
Correct.
not actually doing it or when it just complete the design.
And easement acquisition,
Right.
to the extent there's funds.
Right.
I mean, I like the idea that we're not going to put a pipe under the road. I like the idea that we're going to complete a project, but I don't have all the data. I like the additional questions that people are asking to understand more about the study, because initially the cost was going to be over $200 million and now it's closer to $100 million. So I like the fact that we've asked a lot of questions, and due to that questions and inquiry, we're saving the public a lot of money. My biggest concern is if we do more research, are we going to push the project out to where it then elevates the cost due to, for example, maybe a meeting in August or something like that? Or are we still within a buffer zone where we can have these conversations where we don't necessarily have to act today?
Well, the act would be in a future trustee meeting, so there's.
It's just what you're directing your trustee to do at that next meeting. I mean, we have a quorum here. We could vote now, but my preference is that we
I don't
allow
see any
whichever one of us that goes, ideally I'll go to the trustee meeting, that I have that decision after, after the follow-ups and all the information has been vetted. And
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I think we're, 99% of the time, the five of us are on the same page.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason that, things would be pushed off drastically from town center. It's mainly
decision.
Design, so,
Trustee.
I'm fine with, whoever our trustee is, at that meeting. It's typically you or I, that we vote, and we know what our, our consensus idea is.
I agree.
So,
I think across this whole body,
I would
not
like
just
to
our
talk
board,
about
but also the
that.
board of trustees, that the project they need to make final decision. The project needs to be moved forward. We can't, there's certain parts of the work that they're proposing to do that just shouldn't be put off any further. And I think maybe a couple of questions need to be answered, but everybody's moving in the same direction. So
Cool. Well, let's make a motion to give the trustee authority to act upon at a trustee meeting in the future, the ability to cast a vote for our MUD.
To combine the easement and the
Oh, sorry.
design project and authorize those to move forward. Because right now they're on hold. I think the action that some of the other boards have been taking is to combine those two projects.
Let me
and
update my
authorize.
language. I'd like to make a motion to allow the trustee to act on the easement and the design of the town center project at a future trustee meeting.
Act how to approve moving forward with it.
Yes, act to approve.
Okay.
Yes, sorry.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye. And your vote for you and I?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yes.
We need 3 votes since we're
Type one.
It's tight.
yeah, that's
Um,
like we're
14, receive attorney's report. Your turn.
Yep, not much to report today. You should have received a copy of the legislative summary from the session that just finished up. Looks like this. Should be on the Google Drive for y'all. If you have questions on any of the legislation, feel free to let me know. You may also be aware that the governor has called a special session. Starts, I believe, on Monday. There are 18 items on the agenda. And so legislators are starting to introduce bills on those topics, and we'll be tracking those bills that relate to our special purpose clients. There's some in there related to flooding and emergency response and notification systems that are not specific to the Kerrville area. It's just throughout Texas, may have been spurred by the tragedy out there, but isn't limited to that area. And some other bills that will be, or some other areas that will be watching as well.
So that special session, there's 18 items. So is that
Topics?
18 topics? Do they have to stay within those? They have to stay within them. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, there can be 300 bills introduced on 18 topics, and there's a 30-day session. So how much actually is accomplished on 18 topics in 30 days? We'll see.
Yeah, it's a
Of
lot
course,
to
they can
happen.
call subsequent special sessions. He's not limited in how many he can call, so.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, thank you.
Overtime in the legislature.
Thank you for keeping us up to date.
Yep.
Discuss and or act on out-of-district water and wastewater service agreement with Montgomery County Precinct 2.
I don't think there's been any.
I know Howard Hughes is definitely looking to start moving forward. I know LJ, Jonathan Pumper's here today to talk a little bit about some of all of this. Yeah, so you wanna let us know what we're doing?
The waters, yes. Jonathan Pupper representing LJA, in terms of the work for the precinct 2. If y'all familiar with the Trade Center, parcel T2A, that's north of 242, east of I-45. We're looking at doing some utility extensions from existing lines from the development to the east. And it'll be servicing multiple tracks, including that parcel and a few others around the surrounding area.
Trying to picture exactly where
Yeah,
it's.
well, I think that's different than this item. That was, that's for some tracks north of 242. I think we're gonna talk more about that next month.
So
That's
I
correct.
talked about this up here, right?
No,
This piece back here.
well, he was just talking about a track north of the dealerships along the field.
Way over here.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, and that's for next month. I
Yeah,
believe.
item 16 will be something different.
Yeah, item 15 is related to item 16, which is the development there, that one.
Yeah, that's about having a out-of-district service agreement, as we talked about, for the county community center, I think
Yeah.
it is.
That's correct.
Commissioner Rogers.
In that area, so. We've got that as a holding item, but I think 16 is really what we need to cover today, to the extent that there's proposed or active construction contracts.
That's correct.
Yeah, and I think we're still waiting on the language and agreement with precinct 2 to kind of move 15 along.
All right. So is it okay to go on to 16 then?
Yes.
Receive and or act on engineering report, including A, B, and C.
Yes.
What do we need to know?
I have some companies here for y'all. Sure can.
Yeah, very close.
Yeah, right.
There you go. Through.
On this one here, yes, this is the development that is at west of the intersection of Woodlands Parkway and 2978. Here you go, sir. So the item 16 A, to authorize the design and advertising bids for the construction of facilities within the district. So item I, this will be for the Woodlands Village of Sterling Ridge, west of FM 2978. This will be for a detention pond to service 33.1 acres. Currently in the preliminary phase of this, but this would be just to get the authorization for that. And then for item 2, same development, the Woodland Village of Sterling Ridge, west of FM 2978. This will be for a lift station.
Does this cost us anything?
So to kind of recap the arrangement that the district has for this track. So in connection with the annexation of the property and then subsequent election in the district entered into a reimbursement agreement with Woodland Land Development Company that provides for the development company to front all costs associated with the public infrastructure. They have to comply with all the public bidding requirements and advertisement and what have you, which is what they're working on here, it looks like. And then once the facilities are constructed, they're conveyed to the district, subject to the district's obligation to purchase those facilities from the developer with proceeds from a future bond issue once the developers create sufficient value on the property that's been annexed into the district. So the reason these items are coming to the board right now isn't because the district's spending any money, but because they're required under the reimbursement agreement to bring these projects to the board for concurrence. So you concur with what they're doing. They're still obligated to meet all the requirements. To the extent they don't meet the legal requirements when it comes to reimbursement, the TCEQ doesn't approve their projects. So they're motivated to do all the requirements, to comply with all the requirements for public projects, but they are obligated to bring these projects to the board to concur. There's no expense at this time on behalf of the district.
So forgive me, but just to clarify now, the detention pond is to service 33.2 acres.
It's located on, it's a
Located
33
on
acre
that.
pond.
Yeah, I apologize.
It'll
It's
serve-
located on that.
Yeah, it'll serve that whole
It's
area.
pretty good size.
It'll serve that whole area, but not all of the area that it's serving is part of MUD 39.
Correct.
Part of it belongs to, it's outside of our MUD, but they're basically have a service agreement for us to provide that retention pond to them for their property that's going to drain onto it. Is that correct? Am I saying that right?
Not worth that.
I know.
The agreement, and again, it's been a while, was basically we're letting them use our land, or we're using their land for our water.
So
There's a slight land swap between and an agreement to serve the community center that is outside of the district and will be a precinct 2 facility. So as part of that land swap, this development will bring some utilities to that community center.
but that's between the developer and the county. So this is this is a district facility, 33 acre detention pond that will be constructed to serve the district to the extent that it provides any additional capacity to the county side. And I'm not in the weeds on, how that's engineered, but the TCEQ rules only allow for a developer to be reimbursed for the portion of a facility that serves the property of the district. So if it's sized to, accommodate detention from a piece of property that's outside the district, then that will be pro rata allocated based on the amount of detention in the pond that's used for property in the district versus outside the district, and they can only be reimbursed for the portion that's attributable, the pro rata allocation that's attributable to property in the district. That's all part of the TCEQ rules that they have to go through in the bond application.
I mean, I remember whenever they presented to us initially, there was us and two parties, and we all gave up something and we all received something as well. And I remember the meeting, and I mean, this is essentially what we agreed to back then, is that we would all share in making this happen. So that way we all got the attention we needed, the water usage we needed, and it helped the community center and our development of that neighborhood. That's the neighborhood that has the, I can't remember the name of the neighborhood, but the one that had the community garden thing.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry, I in my mind, I still see the pictures of the little community garden thing with the,
I don't
that
know if do they have a final design on it anyway?
but
And I met with them a couple weeks ago, and that still is the concept we're looking at from the land plan that we all saw a year and a half ago, or whenever it was.
right.
There's some modifications on how much multi or how much single family, because there was a kind of a mix.
Sure.
He said, well, this might change. Looks like it is changing a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall, use and needs wouldn't change.
Yeah, my recollection, and it has been a while, Sean, was that there was, a deal that was being struck between the county and the development company to have the county provide some property to the development company, and the district provide, and the developer provides something to the county to basically make the land plan more efficient, that at the end of the day, from the district's perspective, is going to result in more developable property in the district that otherwise would have had to be used for detention. So the benefit to the district
Right.
was going to be that you would have more taxable value than you otherwise would have had. I think that was the takeaway from the district.
Correct.
perspective.
Yeah, it ended up having, it was like a weird corner that they couldn't develop, and we moved the line a little bit, so it was a little bit more squared off. Everyone was happy. We had more tax dollars, so I don't see anything wrong with it at this point. Y'all?
Without a final design of how they plan on using it, does that even affect any of our concerns for our people, or does it doesn't matter?
No, this is way out. This will be just serving that property west of 1488. And of course, as we talked about before, there was a defined area created for that. So all these costs will be funded.
Only for that area. It doesn't affect the Harper's Landing, you know.
The only impact of any of this on Harper's Landing is to the extent additional taxable value was created that would benefit the remainder of the existing properties in the district.
So essentially pay off the debt for the
reduce
Harper's
your
Landing faster.
tax rate sooner. Correct.
So I mean, that's fine. That's why we did this land acquisition, was to financially help the district.
Exactly.
Because we knew things were coming up that may cause more expense, to lower our current expenses, to take on other future projects as cost of goods increase. And overall, just make the balance sheet better for the long term. So do we need to, it sounds like we need to act today.
To concur in the design and advertisement for bid on those two projects.
Okay. So any questions?
Well, so we need to make a motion that we concur.
Concur in the developer's design and advertisement for bids.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we concur with the design and advertisement for the bids for the construction.
A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, Brian.
That's it.
All right. Do we need to do anything on B or C?
No.
Okay. All right, 17, receive and or act on general manager's report.
Okay. A couple things, just wanted to update you on some of the building improvements that we've been working on. We've finished the fire alarm and intrusion alarm replacements. They weren't working and haven't been for a while, so everything's fixed. Both front doors now open and work. That hasn't been the case since I've been here, so.
Congratulations. All right.
So it detects your motion, it detects the motion of somebody on the inside instead of having to push the button,
Correct.
but the button still exists. So you have, I guess, redundancy if you need to exit in an emergency.
Correct, per code, that's right, yeah. So
Good.
it's a lot more fluid system and up to date and meets code, so.
Excellent job on safety, Eric. Thank you.
Also, we're finishing up the display up front. You might have noticed up front, on the right, there's a display of a lot of, pieces of equipment that we use, day in, day out. So we're looking to kind of build descriptions for each of those so the customers can come in and kind of learn, what is a meter? What is a flush valve? All the different things. So, we're finishing that up. I did want to update you on something we've been working on internally. We've just finished building and implementing a career pathing program for all the employees. That included redoing job descriptions at all levels, building a performance review program, going through, and we've gone through now and implemented the self-reviews, manager reviews, and one-on-one reviews for performance in time for the budget setting. So we did that in 6 months, which is a tall task, but we got it done and we're in implementation. So happy to move past that. We're into that. We do continue to go through all the ditches across the woodlands. We're probably 85% done with our ditch assessment. And so that will lead into putting some numbers into a 10-year project plan and into hopefully some of the budgets for the different MUDs to identify, what work needs to be done where, when, and we'll kind of look through that as we go through the budget to see what districts have money to do what. as far as any ditch improvements or repair that needs to be done.
Yep.
More to come on that. I did want to update you on the Lone Star is going to be hosting the next GMA 14 meeting on September 17th. And then on September 18th, they'll be hosting a MUD informational meeting open to the public to go over their new water model and proposed desired future conditions as it relates to Montgomery County. That's fairly significant because that desired future condition essentially affects or dictates or sets, if you will, the amount of groundwater withdrawal countywide.
Well,
And so that's and it's updated every 5 years. So we're
when is that?
September 18th, well, September 17th to end 18th are both associated with the same topic, but the 18th is specifically for Montgomery County MUDs.
They typically do this in the daytime or evening, or what's the chances to?
Yeah, the GMA, I know the 18th MUDs meeting, I believe, is at 9 a.m. And I don't know if it's usually at 11. The GMA 14.
Resident,
There's a sheet
participation in
your
the
packet
daytime.
that shows a little information about them, the meetings. You can see, and they've got it on their website.
Do you know what page it is here?
85.
Yeah. Oh, 9 a.m. All right.
Yeah,
They're serving coffee. And you said that is the quote unquote more important one, or is there a difference?
Well, the day before, although they won't be adopting it that day, but the GMA 14 group is the one that really finalizes the DFCs that are recommended by its members. So they won't be voting on it that particular day, but that group is the important one.
On the 17th.
Yes, but I'm just saying that particular day, they're not gonna be voting on it, but that group meets monthly or quarterly, depending on how much they have going on. And so I would watch out for future GMA 14 dates for sure. Cause that's where you could probably make more movement.
So if there's one to attend, I guess I'm a little confused about what is the difference between the 17th and 18th?
17th is an official GMA 14 meeting. So
Okay.
that's an entirely different board,
Just like they would monthly.
monthly or quarterly, right?
Okay.
And then the next day, Lone Star is hosting a Montgomery County MUDs only, basically, informational meeting. So
Got it.
I don't know that that's not necessarily reoccurring. I don't know that we've seen one of those before. I don't
Okay.
recall one.
That would probably be a pretty good one.
Several years.
Okay.
The 18th is for the MUDs,
Montgomery County MUDs.
Montgomery County, okay.
Okay, great. So September 18th, 9 a.m.
Yes.
And that's at their
They're opposite Lone Star.
okay,
in Colorado.
okay.
Now at their last meeting last week, there was a group of MUD directors from various MUDs in South Montgomery County. A couple from the Woodlands attended, and then quite a few from some MUDs across the freeway on the Rayford corridor attended the Lone Star meeting and spoke in public comment. It might be worth taking a look at public comment section of last week's Lone Star board meeting, Lone Star Groundwater Conservation District board, their regular board meeting, to see what was said there. Basically, those individuals voiced frustration or concern about Lone Star's, current stance on aquifer withdrawal and health.
Understood. So
Be a good listen,
that's still a hot topic.
big time, yeah. And will be a hot topic at these other meetings, GMA 14 and some of the others.
All right.
And last thing I had was to get to John for communications.
Howdy. Page 73, starts your communication report.
I apologize, Don. I had one thing I had a question on. On page 60, it lists a new fire station. Is that a completely new fire station?
That's fire station, it's a replacement of fire station number 5. The old one was, I guess, run down and not able to continue. So
Okay.
They're rebuilding.
Okay. Do you know when it might be done?
Actually, that's not 39.
No, this is, I don't,
Yeah, I was a little confused about that.
So, yeah, I think that's in 46.
Okay. Yeah, it just said 39. I was thinking, we don't have room for another fire
Fire
station.
stations, we're surrounded by three now.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, yeah, that's not in 39.
Okay.
Thank
You're,
Your church rate.
This,
No,
yeah, I was like, all right, man, we are covered. Fire
in
station.
the early days, we were serviced by the volunteer in Needham, and that didn't do much for our insurance rates until they changed it.
Yeah. I think we're pretty well covered now.
Real quick, before we go to John too, did want to point out this packet, your arbitrage compliance, summary, and I don't know how much we want to talk, but, that we go through and do have this done, have these folks, do the analysis, on a regular basis, just to see if your existing, voted, sold bonds in the future, are in jeopardy of any of this. You keep in mind arbitrage is where you're essentially making money off of your investments over and above what your interest rate would be, your paid interest rate. So they did identify that, and it hasn't happened very often, probably in the last 30 years, but because typically
Where do we get that packet at?
uh,
Okay, sorry, I didn't have one of those packets. This
Missed
is
that one.
definitely something I have to. Sorry.
So you can't make more money off of your, the money that you've borrowed,
You're not allowed to?
correct? Not in a public entity like this.
Oh, and so public entities can't do arbitrage.
But this is arbitrage.
Well, I mean, they're not allowed to do arbitrage.
Correct.
Correct.
I mean, I'm aware of what arbitrage is,
Yeah.
but, okay, sorry. I work in private and this is
Yeah.
public, so I
Yeah.
want to
So
get around that.
there's the longer version of this is that districts have tax exempt status. There were some instances in the 1980s where some creative tax exempt entities realized that they could go and sell bonds for a rate here and then be able to go turn around and reinvest that money in relatively risk-free investments up here.
Mhm.
And they earned the delta between the tax exempt status and here. And the federal government said, that's clever, but we're not going to let you use your tax exempt status to go and earn a rate of return without risk, which is arbitrage. So
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
go with this very elaborate rule system that essentially requires for any arbitrage that's earned by districts to have to be paid to the IRS. And so
Oh,
these reports have to be prepared in 5-year intervals. And so this is a report for your 2020 bond. So it's a 5-year report. And it looks like there is payment due to the IRS. And the kicker on these is that the time period to make the payment is very short. So here it's July 31st. Yeah.
of course it is.
Like here to sign, yeah, it's $21,003.17.
Yeah, and as Eric said, I mean, for pretty much the entire time I've been in practice, this has been just an academic exercise. You go through, you get the report prepared for your file in case you ever get audited, but it's historically always been negative. Bonds, Bud bonds were at, 3-4%. What you were getting on investments was, 1%, maybe 2%. So it was always a negative delta, where now you got some bonds that were issued in, late, 2019, 2020, where interest rates were 2-3%. And now, as you see in the investment report that Maureen produces, rates of return are 4.5-5%. So you are now in that situation that hasn't been around for 20 plus years, where districts are getting a bill from the IRS, which, is fine as long as a district didn't already go spend that money. But they thought that additional interest were funds that they could use for a construction project. And then we've had that happen recently, where some districts that had to go and use operating reserve to make that IRS payment because they already spent those proceeds on a project. So what we're doing now for districts, and we've already done it some here in the Woodlands, is to have arbitrage compliance specialists, which is the nationwide company that does these reports across the board. It's pretty technical calculations they have to do, is to start doing interim reports. So we can get reports at, a 3-year, 4-year interval so that districts have a clue, have some visibility as to whether they're going to owe money, and then they can earmark what the initial report shows is going to be due, so they don't inadvertently spend that money and then end up in a cash crunch.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, that's one of the reasons why this district has been so financially solvent over the last couple of years, is because where other districts have said, hey, I want to be a bit leaner, they've gotten into a few financial difficulties, and we keep plenty of surplus for particularly reasons like this, fixing some of the manhole areas a couple of years ago. So us keeping a nice, healthy budget has allowed us to take on some of these surprises without any worries at all. So, yeah, awesome. Do we need to act on it at all?
To approve, I mean, that's really under the financials report, but I think you could take action to approve the report and authorize payment to the IRS.
Make a motion to approve the report and authorize payment to the IRS.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, we're definitely making our payments. Cool. Thanks, Maureen.
But we do have that checks in the packets and we will need signatures already.
All right.
Now we're ready for.
Exciting.
Build it. Yeah, page 73. A couple things on infrastructure and rural communications. The community working group met on July 1st. They got a presentation on the condition assessment of reclamation facility number 1 from Corolla. It was really well attended, very well received, good information there. There was a piece published in Community Impact, middle of June. If you haven't seen that, on the community working group, if you haven't seen that, you can scan it there. It's also printed out in your packet too. That turned out well. Flipping to 75, a couple notes on social media. Just a reminder, when you're on there, remember to like us. Just click those thumbs up or the heart, depending what platform you're on. That really helps us expand our reach. So do that. And if you're not a social media person, I'd still recommend getting on there periodically just to keep tabs on what we're posting. And a really easy way to do that is just go to our homepage. The top left, you'll see our series of social media icons. You can just click there, it'll take you right there and see what we're up to.
I'm like an influencer, like, follow, subscribe.
Yes. Then at the bottom, some stats for you on Facebook and Instagram. So we hired Stephanie Williams as a part-time specialist, or social media specialist 6 weeks ago. So she's been working hard and doing a lot of content development, creating posts, creating a lot of reels or short videos specifically for social media, and just kind of polishing our look and feel, making sure that we are being consistent in that look and feel across all of our products. And I'm really pleased with what she's doing, and the numbers bear that out, that she's been effective. So you look at the 6 weeks since she started versus the previous 6-week period before she started. Our Facebook views are up 150%. And Instagram is up 9 times. So
Does that, I know these people who are social media influencers and they get enough followers and viewers, it generates revenue. I mean, is that even a factor for Woodlands Water? If you have enough following and enough people watching your content and all that, does it generate
that? We haven't discussed that really. I don't know that we're near that.
I was just wondering like
That it's really
what it takes to actually generate
option
revenue
at this point, but or if we would be allowed to do that, I'm not sure.
As a public entity to receive income, that might be interesting.
It's been asked before, and
I guess we'll know if your
It's
shirt
really viral.
Your shirt next week looks like a NASCAR driver.
I mean, I'd love to think we could get to the point where we really should look at it seriously if that is an option. I don't know that we're near that yet.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions?
No, you did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keith?
Trustee report. The only thing that I was going to add, in addition to the trustee report that's on pages 77 to 80, I already kind of touched on a little bit, which was that discussion that we had during the trustee meeting about the HDR report and requesting additional information. And I know that generated a little bit of concern from some of the other, or at least one specific trustee, just about our ability to not act in a timely manner to move forward with the pipe repair and replace that's been discussed. So anyway,
Cool.
nothing really to add beyond that.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you going to those meetings. Number 19, I don't believe we need a recess for anything. Okay. We don't need to reconvene. Discuss any matters for placement on future agendas.
I don't have anything.
Adjourn at 53.